Villager flees a home of a friend after a series of attacks during the holidays. Wildwood magistrate recommends yet another hotel. Wildwood breaks ground for a high-rise parking garage. Residents should resolve to obey the rules at swimming pools in the villages in 2024. A Freddy Krueger look-alike tracked down after road rage incident near the villages. A care center manager is suing the village's health system for discrimination. A daughter slaps her father over a beeping oxygen machine. A former preach at a church in the villages is sentenced to 15 days in jail. A villager is jailed after allegedly exposing himself to a neighbor lady from his kitchen window. Former Sumter County Commissioner Orrin Miller wants reinstated to his office and $100,000 in back pay. How many holes in ones do we get this week? Letters to the editor. And a surprise for my Patreon members. This and more coming up. This week's news is brought to you by my YouTube and Patreon members. Let's have some more news. I want to give a shout out to Cottleville Fire Department right here. These guys are the ones that sent me a t-shirt and a hat. Appreciate it. Be safe, guys. Thanks for watching. A villager fled to the home of a friend after a series of attacks over the holidays. The woman fled on the night of New Year's Eve to a home in the village of Liberty Park after 57-year-old Patrick Thomas Heilig threw a piece of salami at her and struck her in the left cheek. "I threw it at you to get your attention," Heilig told the woman. She also said that on Christmas Eve, Heilig had shoved her by her shoulders. When deputies arrived at the home, the location of which was redacted from the arrest report, they found Heilig, who was completely belligerent. Deputies attempted to place him into a patrol car, but Heilig, who stands 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 240 pounds, complained he was too large to fit in the vehicle. That could be true. A larger Chevy Tahoe model squad car was summoned to the scene, but Heilig continued to refuse to get in. He used his dead weight to attempt to prevent deputies from putting him into the vehicle. He was charged on charges of battery and resisting arrest. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $2,000 bond. An extended stay hotel is planned south of County Road 466 and about a third of a mile east of US 301 in Oxford. With 122 rooms, the 4-story Wood Springs Suites will be built along County Road 106. Special Magistrate Lindsay C.T. Holt recommended approval of a project site plan at a meeting Tuesday of the Wildwood Planning Zoning Committee. The City Commission probably will consider the plan later this month. Due to an expected increase in traffic, the developer will be responsible for upgrading County Road 106 and must post a performance bond. Issues regarding sewer and water extensions also must be resolved before final approval. The 51,341 square foot hotel on 2.7 acres will have 126 parking spaces, including compact and handicap parking. Founded in 2003, Wood Springs Suites, previously known as Value Place until 2015, operates nearly 250 hotels in 38 states and Washington, D.C. Choice Hotels, which represents more than 500,000 rooms worldwide, acquired the Wood Springs Suites brand for $231 million in 2018. The hotel chain is managed by Nationwide Hotel Management Company, and a private real estate firm owns many of the hotels. Hotels are pet-friendly and smoke-free, featuring in-suite kitchens. Some hotels have fitness centers. Customers may bring their own plates, silverware, pots, and coffee makers, or purchase a kitchen pack at the front desk. Seems weird. The company offers lower nightly rates for customers who book for a week or longer. Housekeeping services are provided every other week or more frequently for a fee. Man, they just want to nitpick you to death, don't they? A fee for this, a fee for that. This is why I don't like hotels. A native New Yorker with a previous theft conviction was arrested at a Publix grocery store in the Villages. Leanna, 32, of the Cove Apartments, was at the store at La Plaza Grande, that's up by Spanish Springs, at about 5 p.m. New Year's Eve when she collected numerous food and health products and put them into her reusable bags and a small green carry basket within her shopping cart, according to the arrest report. She went to the, let's all say it together, self-checkout aisle and scanned $50.96 of merchandise, but did not pay for $186.80 worth of items. When confronted by the store personnel, Reese claimed that a friend had placed an online order and had already paid for the grocery items. However, she could not produce a receipt. An officer went to Reese's apartment where an individual said an online order had been placed, but the card was declined and the order did not go through, the report said. A criminal history check revealed that Reese had been convicted of theft in 2011 in New York. She was arrested on a charge of theft and booked at the Lake County Jail. She was released after posting a $1,000 bond. The city of Wildwood will host a groundbreaking ceremony Monday, January 8th, to kick off construction of its new parking garage at the corner of US 301 Main Street and Oxford Street. That begins at 11 a.m. and is open to the public. As the first high-visibility construction project of Wildwood's downtown master plan, the garage will house approximately 125 spaces that serve both existing and future downtown businesses. Expected to open by year's end, it is one component of a public-private partnership that also includes roughly 8,000 square feet of new, leasable commercial space for dining and entertainment. The commercial building currently is scheduled for completion early next year. I like that. Public-private partnership. Who is that? I want to know who the private partnership is. Wildwood's downtown master plan, adopted by the City Commission in November 2021, was formulated with input provided by residents and local businesses who prioritized downtown redevelopment and revitalization as the initiative they felt would best serve the community. Probably best served to line their pockets. We are excited to see this plan take shape, said City Manager Jason McHugh. So much outreach, feedback, and analysis go into creating a design, but until it's actually built, it is simply a concept and calculations. We've reached that monumental milestone where residents will begin to see their vision for a vibrant downtown. The residents want to see a high-rise garage? I don't think so. For more information, you can go to www.wildwooddowntown.com. Residents of the Villages should resolve to obey the rules at the swimming pools in 2024. All eligible residents and their guests with valid guest ID cards are asked to refrain from having glass containers inside the pool area, throwing or tossing any objects, toys on pool decks or in the pools, playing music too loud, use headphones or earbuds, smoking within the pool area. Designated smoking areas are outside the pool area. All residents and guests are required to comply with ID requirements and ages to use the swimming pools and supporting amenities, and children should have proper approved flotation devices. A Freddy Krueger lookalike was tracked down after a road rage incident near the village of Fentanyl. Ralph Elliott Kennedy Jr., 42 of Wildwood, was arrested on New Year's Eve on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a weapon. He had been picked out of a photo lineup by a man and his girlfriend, who said a man had pointed a gun at them during a road rage incident December 21 on Warm Springs Avenue in the vicinity of County Road 507, according to the arrest report. The couple said the man who had threatened them looked like a character, Freddy Krueger, from the Nightmare on Elm Street horror films. They said he had been driving a silver Chevy Cobalt with a loud exhaust, chrome rims, and a watch for motorcycle sticker. They said the weapon had them in fear of their lives. Deputies said they remember stopping a similar vehicle on December 15th. They pulled up the license plate number and Kennedy's driver's license with his photo. The couple identified Kennedy in the photo lineup. Kennedy was taken into custody and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. Bond was set at $10,000. A priest who formerly led St. Timothy Catholic Church in the Villages is serving 15 days in jail after his second drunk driving conviction. Edward Martin Waters, 74, best known as Father Ed, was sentenced Wednesday in Sumter County Court after pleading no contest to a charge of driving under the influence. The priest was at the wheel of a blue Ford Mustang shortly before 7 p.m. November 27th when dispatch received a call that the vehicle was driving all over the roadway and only going 20 miles per hour. A traffic stop was initiated near the entrance of the village of DeLuna on US 301. Waters identified himself as a priest and said he was trying to get back home in Winter Park. Waters provided breath samples that registered .192 and .189 blood alcohol content. At the time of his arrest, Waters completed a form indicating he would not be relying on services of a private attorney or a public defender's office. Waters indicated he intended to represent himself. Well, you know what the old saying is about people that want to represent themselves. They have a fool for a client. A suspect was arrested with drugs after suspicious activity at Spanish Springs. Michael Griffin Felder, 42 of Ocklawaha, was spotted at about 7:30 p.m. Tuesday entering a Ford Ranger truck which was parked on Page Place and Main Street, according to the arrest report. It was initially believed that he may have been burglarizing the vehicle. However, police later determined the vehicle belonged to Felder's mother. A canine alerted on the pickup, leading to the discovery of 2.91 grams of marijuana, a used syringe, a shot glass containing a white powder substance in the vehicle's cup holder. The substance tested positive for methamphetamine. He was arrested on charges of possession of methamphetamine, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $4,000 bond. This guy is very familiar looking. He's been in trouble before. A woman with fentanyl was arrested after a domestic disturbance at the Rolling Acres Apartments. Officers were called to investigate the disturbance at about 3:30 p.m. New Year's Eve at the apartment complex where they found 25-year-old Jessica Hope Clark of Wildwood, who was wanted on a warrant charging her with felony theft, according to the arrest report. A clear plastic bag containing a white powder was found in her shoe. The powder tested positive to fentanyl. She claimed she was wearing a friend's shoe. She was taken into custody and booked at Lake County Jail on a $5,000 bond. Clark has a history of arrests. She was arrested this past November at Home Depot in Lady Lake. Clark was arrested Christmas Eve 2022 when she was caught with cocaine in a stolen car. Clark also was arrested in 2022 after she was caught switching price tags on merchandise at Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the Villages. A daughter allegedly slapped her father over a beeping oxygen machine on Christmas Day at their home in the Villages. Are you kidding me? Christina Marina Granados, 49, is due to be arraigned January 22nd in Lake County Court on a felony charge of battery. She was arrested on Christmas Day at the home she shares with her 73-year-old father in the Villages of Del Mar. Del Mar is like right behind Spanish Springs. When an officer arrived at the home, Granados admitted she and her father had gotten into an argument over his oxygen machine, and due to the way her father was speaking to her, she slapped him in the face. The daughter said he and his daughter, who have been living together for 3 years, had an argument over the beeping sound made by the oxygen machine. He said his daughter punched him in the left side of the head. Granados was taken into custody and booked at the Lake County Jail. The New York native was released after posting a $1,000 bond. I'm shaking my head all the time because I just don't get it. A driver was ticketed after two golf carts collided Tuesday in the Villages. A man was driving a golf cart at 5:03 p.m. southbound on Canal Street when he was attempting to make a left turn onto Odell Circle, according to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. When he turned, he collided with a golf cart that had been heading straight on while northbound on Canal. The southbound driver who caused the accident was ticketed on a charge of failure to yield right-of-way. I'm going to say it again. I know I say this all the time, but there's new people moving in all the time. I never know who's watching, who listens. I don't know. When you're here, especially in the wintertime, during snowbird season, be careful. I don't care if you're driving a golf cart. I don't care if you're driving a car. I don't care if you're riding a bicycle. I don't care if you're just walking. Be careful. A care center manager with arthritis is suing Villages Health System for allegedly discriminating against her by demoting her, reducing her salary by $20,000, and attempting to strip her of shares she purchased in 2016. Attorneys filed the lawsuit on December 1 in the 5th Judicial Circuit Court for Sumter County on behalf of Danielle Sullivan, who is employed as a care center manager at the Pinellas Care Center. That's where I go. Sullivan claims that she began working as a care center manager for the Villages Health System in November 2013. In 2021, Sullivan says she was promoted to Manager of Clinical Operations Primary Care. According to the complaint, Sullivan has excelled in her management of primary care units since taking over her role. Ms. Sullivan's performance has at all times been exemplary, and her employee records are devoid of any discipline. Sullivan says that in January 2023, she suffered a spontaneous rupture of a tendon in her left hand that prevented her from moving her pinky. A few weeks later, her finger tendon in the left hand also ruptured. Sullivan claims the ruptures required surgery and says she advised her supervisor of her medical issues. She says her supervisor, who at that time had worked for less than a year, the Villages Health System, had no nursing experience and relied heavily on Sullivan to maintain efficient function of primary care clinical operations. Sullivan said she got surgery on her hand February 16th, 2023, and that her doctor recommended that she take 6 weeks off work to recover. She was only allowed to take 6 days, according to the complaint. Sullivan claims that despite being told by her doctor to recover, her supervisors pressured her to continue to work from home to advance her ongoing projects. She claims her supervisor retaliated against her by removing her from her leadership role in her initiative to develop an intake program to alleviate long wait times for clients to be able to see a primary care provider. Sullivan claims she was pulled back into the project in late March 2023 after her supervisor was overwhelmed and unable to execute the duties previously assigned. Despite the retaliation, Ms. Sullivan offered to pilot the program and to train the new registered nurse. On April 3, 2023, Sullivan claims her supervisor told her to perform intake instead of finding and training a registered nurse. This proposal was a clear demotion, as Ms. Sullivan would be stripped of managerial role and relegated to an entry-level position. On April 6, 2023, Sullivan claims she made her colleagues and supervisor aware of her RA diagnosis. A week later, on or about April 13, 2023, Sullivan says that she was informed that she would, in fact, be demoted to the intake nurse position. According to the complaint, the demotion came with a $20,000 salary reduction, elimination of bonus earning potential amounting to an additional $10,000 potential reduction, and a forfeiture of Sullivan's shares in the company. Sullivan claims she purchased $7,500 worth of shares from the Villages Health System in 2016 as part of the deal that was offered to her and other managers for their exemplary performances and service. At the time, Sullivan says she questioned the share forfeiture and learned that nothing in the shares agreement would compel forfeiture. The threat was purely retaliatory. Sullivan says that since going on leave, she has been replaced as manager of clinical operations primary care. She claims she has been advised that if she does not return by then being January, she will be terminated. Sullivan is seeking more than $50,000 in a variety of damages, including front and back pay, compensatory, punitive, and all other damages available under the Florida Civil Rights Act, according to the complaint. According to the Sumter County court records, the village's health system has been served a summons in the case. No other activity has been noted on the docket. I know how human resources works for the villages. I worked for them for a while. They harassed me while I was taking care of my father, and I said, I'm not coming back until everything's done and over. My supervisor, no problem. But then all of a sudden, the village's human resource lady started calling me 2 and 3 times a day, harassing me to the point I told her where they could take the job and shove it. Former Sumter County Commissioner Orrin Miller is eager for his day in court this week before a judge who sentenced him to jail over a perjury charge, which has been overturned. The Village of Sanibel resident was sentenced to jail time by Judge Anthony Toddy and spent Thanksgiving and Christmas behind bars before his release in January of 2023. Miller's case went before the appeal panel in September. Now Judge Taddy will have to take action as a result of Miller's victory at the appeal level. Miller will be in Judge Taddy's courtroom on Thursday. You got questions about going back to the same judge as before? Miller is also fighting another battle. He is demanding that Governor Ron DeSantis reinstate him to the seat on the county commission. DeSantis suspended Miller at the time of his initial arrest. Miller said the governor, who is spending most of his time in Iowa campaigning for the GOP presidential nomination, has not responded to his request for reinstatement. Miller said he is also seeking more than $100,000 in back pay that he should have earned during his elected term as commissioner. Miller said he is in better spirits and better health these days. He said he is back to golfing 4 times a week. Good luck on your reinstatement. I just have questions. If Judge Taddy is the one that found you guilty in the first place, how does the appellate court send you back to Judge Taddy when he's already predetermined that you're guilty? A villager was arrested after allegedly exposing himself to a neighbor lady from his kitchen window. Jesus. James L. Martin, 78, of the village of Sanibel, was arrested Thursday on a charge of exposure of sexual organs. Ladies, he was at his home at 3003 Twisted Oak Way when he knocked on the window of his kitchen to get the attention of a woman who was at her home, according to the arrest report. When the woman turned to look, Martin began vigorously masturbating while looking at the victim. Man, we have some sickos here. The report noted that the action occurred in a lewd and vulgar manner. Was there any other way to masturbate? Martin did not appear to have a prior criminal history. He purchased his home in 2021 for $307,000. He was booked without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. Yeah. I had a line for that, but I'll let it go. A villager has been jailed after her failure to complete a batterer's intervention program. Gretchen Mitchell, 70, of the village of Amelia, was arrested Thursday by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. She was initially held without bond, but was released Friday after a court appearance. This past May, Mitchell was allowed to enter into a batterer's intervention program to avoid prosecution in a battery case. However, she failed to show proof of completion of the program, did not pay fines and court costs, and did not show up for a probation appointment, according to the court records. That's okay. Just ignore it. It doesn't apply to you. Deputies were called to investigate a physical disturbance on February 17th at her home at 2195 Kerward Loop. Mitchell told deputies that she suspected her man friend had been unfaithful. She admitted she became upset, threw clothes at him, and used her hand to smack him. The Massachusetts native, who stands 5 feet 1 inches tall and weighs 120 pounds, was arrested on a charge of battery and spent the night at Sumter County Detention Center, where she initially was held without bond. That next day, which happened to be Mitchell's 70th birthday, a judge set bond and she was released. She got a ride home with a friend and was dropped off back at her home in the village of Amelia. When she walked through the door, wearing the same clothes as she had been wearing the previous evening, she ordered her man friend out of her home. He refused to leave and dialed 911. When a deputy arrived, Mitchell said she wasn't leaving. She was arrested for violating a court order which forbade her from having contact with the man and from setting foot in her own home. See, I find that wrong with the court. If I own it, I own it. If somebody's staying there, that means they don't own it. A Wisconsin man has been sentenced on a disorderly intoxication charge following his arrest at a town square in the Villages. Joseph Vanderhall, 54, of Lodi, Wisconsin, was sentenced, time already served, at the Lake County Jail and ordered to pay $150 in court costs following an appearance last month in Lady Lake Court. Vanderhall had been walking to his car at about 10 p.m. January 24th, 2023, near World of Beer at Spanish Springs Town Square when people in the vicinity concluded he was in no shape to drive and they tried to prevent him from getting behind the wheel, according to a arrest report from Lady Lake Police Department. He had fallen while attempting to reach his vehicle. Yeah, I'd say you had a bit much. An officer arrived on the scene and determined it was apparent that Vanderhall was under the influence of alcohol. He said he was from out of town and visiting his mother, who lives in the village of Osceola Hills. He was identified by his Wisconsin driver's license. Vanderhall was alone and did not have any other means of transportation. He told the police, "Take me to jail." He was arrested on a charge of disorderly conduct and booked at the Lake County Jail. He was released the following day after posting a $500 bond. A villager has been sentenced on a drunk driving charge after crashing his Camaro and fleeing the scene. Carl Adam Hergert, 65, of the village of Virginia Trace, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court on charges of driving under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident. He will lose his driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and was ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. A charge of possession of a controlled substance has been dropped. Hergert had been the subject of a missing persons alert on March 4th, last seen near his home in the Stillwater Villas. That's by Lake Sumter Landing. If you want to get a part-time home, or even a full-time home for that matter, you want a villa, patio villa, Stillwater area, not a bad place, just my suggestion. Hergert was found that same day after crashing his black Camaro on Page Place, just east of Morse Boulevard, according to the arrest report. He fled the scene and was found at about 5:30 p.m., a short distance away from Avienda Central. He was initially taken to UF Health, the village's hospital. He later took part in the field sobriety exercises, but his poor performance led to deputies to conclude he had been drinking. He was also found to be in possession of a drug, MDMA. He provided breath samples that registered .143 and .144 blood alcohol content. This is why I keep saying, be careful down here in the winter. There's a lot of drinking that goes on down here in the winter. You guys hear about this sovereign citizen crap going on around the nation. I don't know where all this even got started or who in the hell's dumb enough to believe this stuff, but hey, we got them here too. A bizarre behaving village of Bridgeport at Lake Miona resident has been sentenced after a pair of arrests in 2023. Alan Salvador Arzu, 51, has been placed on probation for 6 months, fined, and ordered to perform 25 hours of community service, according to the Sumter County Clerk's Office. He indicated he will be buying out of the community service previously posted bond. Arzu, who lives at 1966 Hartford Path, had been arrested July 22 at Pinellas Plaza on charges of driving under the influence while his driver's license are suspended, resisting arrest, and refusal to sign a citation. At the time of his arrest, Arzu identified himself as a private citizen and questioned the deputy's jurisdiction. Arzu repeatedly refused to step out of his vehicle. 2 deputies escorted him out of the pickup and placed him under handcuffs. I still love that. It just gives me they escorted him out of the vehicle. Picture that in your mind. I can see this escort. It appeared Arzu had been drinking, but he refused to participate in field sobriety exercises and would not submit a breath test. He also refused to sign a citation. It was determined he was driving on a suspended license. After that arrest, Arzu sent some bizarre letters to the court and identified himself as a sentient moral being and said he has examined the path my feet are on and I have concluded I have dishonored many. Arzu also sent the court clerk a non-negotiable notice of acceptance. In the letter, he requested discharge from the case. I request you close the account and issue the order of the court to me immediately, he wrote. I don't know what to say. How many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? Looks like 4. Dan Belargian of the village of Santo Domingo got a hole-in-one at hole number 2 at the Mira Mesa Executive Golf Course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Dan. Jerry Miller scored the lucky ace December 26th at hole number 6 at the Sand Hill Executive Golf Course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Gary. Carl Philhart of the village of Pine Ridge got his first hole-in-one at hole number 10 at the Mickey Lee Pitch and Putt. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Carl. A villager got a hole-in-one at an executive course she once described as being too hard. Denise Muessig of the village of Sunset Point had joked to her fellow girl golfers that they should take the Bacal Executive Golf Course off their list because it was too hard. That all changed when Muessig got a hole-in-one at hole number 8 at that very same course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Denise. Dwight Quexmer of the village of DeLuna shot his first hole-in-one January 2nd at the Sand Hill Executive Golf Course. He was playing with Tom Miller and Rick Powers. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one there, Dwight. I like Sand Hill Golf Course. I always did. Let's see if we can do a couple letters to the editor. Here's a response to a letter I think we done last week. A lady that bought a house in Middleton was upset. She said she didn't realize that by buying a home in Middleton, she really wasn't considered to be a villager. And she was upset about the fact she didn't have access to rec centers and some things like that. To the editor, this is in response to the letter to the editor from a resident in Middleton. The villager homeowner is paying almost $200 a month in amenity fees to use the rec centers, golf courses, and pools, etc. We are a senior community. We don't want young children in our pools or rec centers unless they are visiting grandparents. We don't want adults who don't live in the villages using them either. That's sent in by Antonio Rizala from the village of Fentanyl. I don't have much response to that other than the fact that Middleton was advertised not to have access to villages' amenities from day one. So if this person didn't know it, they're just playing ignorant. To the editor, if I had to choose between Walmart and trees, I prefer trees. It takes 200 years to have a big oak tree to admire and visit. Walmart is just around the corner. That's sent in by Hugo Buchanan from Lady Lake. Thanks, Hugo. To the editor, a message for the woman from Middleton. This is a retirement community. Capital letters. You are a family development. Why can't we have our amenities to ourselves? It is bad enough when we have grandchildren running around the square when we are trying to dance or swim. The family pool has a nicer view. It isn't hidden behind walls. Yes, the adult pool has block walls. And yes, we pay amenity fees for our clubs and classes. Complain to the developer who hasn't built the proper building for you to have classes. Family developments and our retirement neighborhoods are to be separate. Don't worry, I'm not going to be going over to Middleton. That's why I moved to a retirement community. Supposedly, we have to fight for our own stuff. That's sent in by Diana Gizzy from the village of Monarch Grove. Well, thank you, Diana. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for the news this week. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And if I say it again, if you're not a Patreon member, please subscribe. You can start out at $2 a month. Everything there is commercial free. There's a few other benefits there that Patreons get that nobody else gets. We've also added on a Discord, a private Discord for my patrons only. It's open 24/7. People get on there all hours, day and night, and they discuss whatever it is they want to discuss. And it's only for my members. Nobody else can get on there. So just another benefit of being a Patreon member. So with that being said,
don't leave your keys in the golf cart.